Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the First Issues Forum offered by the Ohio Unity Coalition and the Toledo Prince Hall Masonic family of Toledo, Ohio. I am Tanya Roach, and I am a member of the Toledo Prince Hall Masonic family. I am the worthy matron of the Order of Eastern Star, Jewel Chapter number 20, that is located here in Toledo. And I have with us also Anita Madison. Please introduce yourself, Anita.
Hi, everybody. I am Anita Madison, and I'm the Toledo coordinator for the Ohio Unity Coalition. It is a nonpartisan organization, and our whole purpose is to engage Black voters and encourage voting, education, registration, and also mobilization. And we are so excited to be partners with the Toledo Prince Hall Masons in this forum. Thank you so much.
And again, I am Tanya Roach. We are a community organization where we do try to provide community service to our community. And this is one of the ways that we are serving our community by making sure we have informed voters when you go to those polls. So with us tonight, we have Ms. Skylar Meadows, who is our political analyst and our moderator for tonight. Skylar, would you like to go ahead, and we will mute ourselves, and you have the floor, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate you.
This is so fantastic. Thank you, everybody. So as she said, my name is Skylar Meadows, and you may know me from media and being a political analyst on radio and television. But what you might not know is I am a member of the Masonic family as well. So when I was asked if I would be able to assist in moderating this, definitely for the Masonic family, because this is more of the charitable work that we do. And also, of course, having helped the Ohio Unity Coalition for many, many years, I just wanted to be a part of this. So thank you so much. To date, we don't believe our triumvirate of people that this has ever been done before, that there's just an issues forum, let alone virtually. So I want to thank everybody on all the platforms, across platforms, on Facebook Live if you're tuning in, and also obviously on the Zoom call, for helping us make history. And I hope that we will repeat this and that this will not be the last time, because there are always issues and concerns that matter most. So much attention has been given to the presidential election, as you know, and the vice presidential debate last night, and on and on and on. But what about the issues? So that's what we're going to do. So we will have guests talking about each issue. This is pretty free-flowing. We will have guests at the end, which is you, who can ask questions. We'll take questions. We have two people who are monitoring chat and platforms to make sure those questions get asked. And then at the end of it, we will have none other than the executive director of the Lucas County Board of Elections to talk to us about the ways that you can vote, and just taking the temperature of what is going on out here in this historic time in election cycle. So with that being said, we will start with Miss Katie Crosby, and she is going to talk about issue 8. Is it issue 18? Did I get that right, Katie? No, I'm sorry. 4. I'm sorry.
3 and 4.
None other than the but I get mixed up, and I have it right in front of me.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm going to actually share my screen just because for me it tends to be easier to see something in writing. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about issue 3 and 4 and the impact of issue 3 and 4. So this tells you a little bit about our current tax rate and allocation. So issue 3 and 4 is a renewal of a portion of our local income tax. And then issue 4 is actually a portion, an income tax that will go directly to roads. So currently our income tax, our permanent income tax, is 1.25%. But we also have an income tax of a quarter of a percent that makes up our total income tax. And so you'll see that here. This 1/4% is a temporary tax that's renewed every 4 years, and that has been happening since the late 1980s. So that makes up a significant portion of the city's budget. And just to give you an example of how much of our budget that income tax makes up, it makes up about $56.7 million of our budget. So our permanent is 1.5%, and then we have another 3/4% that makes up the balance of our budget that's renewed every 4 years, and that's been happening since the end of the 1980s. In addition to that, as you all know, we have a significant infrastructure challenge, and so we want to invest in our roads. Investing in our roads is a huge economic development opportunity. It helps us attract and retain companies that actually help us attract and retain talent. So we also have a second issue, issue 4, that is a 1/4%. And issue 4 would actually be an additional $18.9 million that will go directly towards roads. So what that means is that that money cannot be spent on anything else. Though if that issue is passed, it will go directly to roads, and we can leverage that money so that we can have greater impact on our roads. Right now, we've been doing an average of $4 million a year on roads, and it probably costs about $1.5 million to do 1 mile of roads. And as you know, that is not enough for us to make a difference. So it's a really important issue for us to make that investment into our community. And then the impact of issue 3, which is that 3/4% that raises about $56.7 million. If we are unsuccessful with passing that, that will have a significant impact on our budget, which means that it will cut about 50% of our police and fire, our public safety crews. And so that would really be a really significant impact, not only to our budget, but to public safety and to our community. So it's really, really important for us to pass this levy and for us to be able to invest in our roads. So that's an overview of issue 3 and issue 4.
Thank you, Ms. Crosby. There's a question, I know that they're monitoring questions as well in the queue, that came across a while ago from one of my listeners about the issue 4. They're saying that in the past, council members have kind of been, back and forth about who gets the 1/4 mile of road we're going to repair this year if, we have monies in the general funds. So does this mean that if that passes across the board, any and all repairs that are necessary will be made with this money?
So we have a way of doing an assessment of our roads and identifying where, and that helps us to prioritize how our roads are, how we invest in the infrastructure. And we will use the same plan that we had in place earlier in the year when we produced the list of roads if issue 1 had passed earlier in the year. So we would be looking at the conditions of our roads. We'd also be looking at economic development that's happening in our community. And for those of you who have talked to us about our neighborhood investment, we would be looking at our neighborhood investment as well. And so we would be trying to leverage what we're already doing in community to determine where we would make the investment in roads. And I don't have the list of initial roads with me right now, but that's information that we could produce for you.
I think that they were just more concerned about the kind of lightweight bickering that you see back and forth, because everybody thinks every road is important, and they are.
Right.
How do you prioritize? So that's good. Okay, so it'll be prioritized like normal, but there will be funds specifically allocated for it during the levy period.
Exactly.
Okay. Miss Tanya and Miss Anita, do we have any questions in the queue for Miss Crosby, because she will have to depart early? The kind of lightweight bickering that you see back and forth, because everybody thinks every road is important, and they are.
Right.
Hello, everyone. Skylar, I just want to welcome Mr. Raywood, who is representing the Toledo Metro Park. So he has joined us now.
Yay.
Yes.
All right.
Finally. How's everybody? Good to see you.
Fine. Thank you for making this historic. So did you guys see any questions? Okay, we'll go on to the next one. And if there's another question that we need to, okay, because I know that Ms. Crosby will have to go. So if we have any questions and you have to depart, can we just email you through the levy campaign, and we'll get the answers and get them back out to people? Okay. Awesome. If you're just tuning in, my name is Skylar Meadows. All right, said. And this is our first ever, but not the last, issues only forum in regard to the issues and concerns that matter most for the 2020 election. We are across platforms here, so we are not only broadcasting from Facebook Live, but we are also on a Zoom call. So we welcome everyone. And again, much ado is made about the candidates, but what about the issues? The issues are important. So we have Ms. Katie Crosby talking about issues 3 and 4. And now we are going to go on to the next person. One moment. So, and we invite you to ask questions. You can type them into the chat box, or you can type them into the comments area on Facebook, and Miss Tanya and Miss Anita will take care of it. Our sponsors, co-sponsors of this event are the Ohio Unity Coalition, and of course the Prince Hall Masonic family across all of our houses, and TR Consulting. All right, so the next one is, would we like to do issue 13, everybody? Is that fine? Okay, so issue 13, we have Mr. Nye. No, you're 18. Are you 18?
No, Savannah Township Fire is 13.
There we go. I'm sorry. See, again, I have this right in front of me. Oh, confusing. I'm sorry. All right, so we will have Mr. George France come in and talk about issue 13.
Well, I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is George France. I am the retired assistant chief from Savannah Township Fire Department 15 years ago. Put 33 years into the department, loved every minute of it, but moved on. But I still live in Savannah Township. There I live in Savannah. One of the things I want to clarify, which we still hear to this day, which is surprising to me, that Savannah Township Fire Department provides service to both the city of Savannah and the township of Savannah. One fire department, 2 police departments. And many people to this day are still confused about that. So this levy does apply to everybody in the township and fire, or in township and city, excuse me. My involvement with this is basically to continue to support an agency which does life-saving and procedures for the entire community and those who pass through the community, just not for our community members. The levy that is being put onto the ballot has been scrutinized. They originally started out with a higher number, but through going through the proper procedures, they've lowered it down to the 1.9 mils. And I think it's a much needed, great value for your dollar. Chris will get, Chief Nye will get into the specifics, but I just want to say, as a senior citizen out here in this community, it's a much needed increase in funds to maintain and increase the service for the growing community and the growing number of incidents that are taking place on a daily basis.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Assistant Chief Chris Nye, Sylvania Fire Department. Spent 30 years with the department. I was promoted to Deputy Chief 3 years ago and Assistant Chief earlier this year. Prior to that, I spent 17 years as a local president, and I see our current local president, Ryan Sedlock, is joined us, as well as our township administrator, Oliver Turner. I'm going to try and share my screen and see if I can get this right. So we've got just a 14 slides, and I'm not going to read this. We're not going to do death by PowerPoint. I think we all know about that, but this information is all available at keepsylvaniasafe.com. There's this presentation and some other material on there for everybody. So feel free to look at that. Now I got to get back to where I can see it. Sorry. Pull it back down. That's not what I want.
Did you click on the minus sign in the corner?
Oh, there it is.
You got it? Okay.
I think. Now it tells me I'm paused. Sorry. I'm not.
No worries. No worries. Take your time. We're all learning. We're all learning.
Not good at this.
How many people have been frozen? Raise your hand. Can you raise your hand? You might be frozen if you can't raise your hand. See what I'm saying?
Let's
There you
try
go.
this again.
Yeah, there we go. We've all experienced it. You're fine.
Okay. Where to go?
While you're working on that, you want to just tell us about it? Since you
I'm
probably
sorry.
know
So
by
issue
heart.
13.
Mhm.
There it is. There it is. I got it.
There you go.
I just got to share it.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, we got it.
Yay.
Okay. So issue 13, that's a picture of our fire trucks. Dress it all up. So why approach the community now? Just to give you a background on this, this ball got rolling for an increase in, or an ask for an increase in some levy appropriations from the community in the fall of last year. So this ball was rolling down the road well before COVID. And these are some of the reasons why. We've got an increase in calls for service that went from our last levy was in 2014. At that time, we had 4,706 incidents in a year. We're up to 6,380. That's a 35.7% increase in 6 years. And we are still doing that with the same staff that we had in 2014. Additionally to that, because the calls for service are increasing, you can see on the slide, there's a 52% time that we have an overlapping incident. Our daily staffing level is only 16 personnel. One fire apparatus has 3 personnel on it. One transport unit has 2. Of those 16 personnel, 2 of those are assigned to a county unit, ALS transport unit that could be anywhere in the county at any time. So what we're trying to achieve is with this levy will be to hire 3 additional staff in 21 and 3 in 22 so that we can staff additional resources to decrease that overlapping and increased response times. I think you know that most of you guys should be familiar with Township and City of Sylvania. Having some further conversation earlier in the year with our Chamber of Commerce, our population bedroom community is about 50,000 in the community. Our daytime population is likely in the neighborhood of 100,000 or more with all of the businesses. And they've also got a TEMACOG study on the travel that goes through our committee, but I won't get into that. In 2008, we had a levy on a bond issue for new buildings that we promised the community we would make those last 50 years. So we need to have funds to maintain those. Just like everybody's houses, the buildings are aging as well. Same thing for our fleet. Our fleet of apparatus, we were fortunate enough in 08 to get an operations levy before the 14 levy to replace a good number of our pieces of equipment. But unfortunately, due to some of our winter products that are putting on the roads, they're deteriorating not just our fleet, but everybody's fleet, as well as our own personal vehicles, more prematurely than had been anticipated. Another resource that has been lacking is a private ambulance services. Several of them have boarded up the last couple of years. So this levy would add additional staff to fully fund a second 24/7 transport unit. Currently, of those 16 personnel, 2 of them are assigned to a ALS transport unit that's run by Sylvania Township. We have a second one at our number 3 station, which is currently cross-staffed, which means if they're out on the transport unit, the ambulance, there's no fire suppression unit in that area of the township, and we'd have a longer response time coming from another station. A key point that's been very helpful that we just got started back up about 8 to 8 weeks ago after we got some COVID restrictions released, was what we call the HERO program. It's a community paramedicine program. What this does is it started out west several years ago, and it's worked its way east. And we are in a cooperative effort with Springfield Township Fire Department and our department. And what this does is our repeat customers that we have frequent calls on, we have one of our paramedics that's also a registered nurse, and we've sent him to training for this community paramedicine program. Springfield Township has one of their paramedics that has a social work degree. So they go out together 1 day a week. They go to these folks' houses and they help them find resources for whatever they may need. We've established a program with Lowe's where if we've got for fall prevention, we can get grab rails and we install those community paramedicine people install those so that we're not going out there and the people aren't falling and hurting themselves. And of course, the biggest thing is to preserve public safety. This is just a quick slide. I'll glance over that real quickly. This is our incidents. You can see from 14 to 19. Gosh darn it.
No worries.
And again.
So do you, let's see, you're saying there's increased calls, the same staff since 2014, and your response times, you have the HERO program and some other things. So of your yearly incident totals, let me ask you this question, you or Mr. France. How many of those are in the township? How many of those are in the city? Does it matter? You're just saying your response times and incident totals are what's at risk here if people don't pass the levy, correct?
Yes, response times are getting elongated, and I don't think it's in this presentation. It's in the longer one. We've got a 45 slide document as well that has a lot more of those details in it and data. And I don't want to bore you with that, but that's available on that website as well. It takes a big deeper dive into things, but we are one of 5. We're kind of a unique community here in Sylvania. We're one of 5 communities that are a township department that covers an incorporated area, which would be the city of Sylvania. So as you well know, city of Sylvania has their own police department, their own municipal government, road department, etc. Sylvania Township has their own police department, municipal government, road and service department, etc. But there is only one fire department that covers the entire geographic 28 square miles of Sylvania and Sylvania Township combined. So those numbers are not broke down in here, but we can certainly get those. If anybody wants those, they can certainly email me. Just go to the fire department website and request that, and I can run that report for you. Here's our response time and staffing, just to show you where we're at. Unfortunately, the data, because the records management system that we were using prior to 2017 is not accessible anymore by us. But 2017, you can see our staffing level was 61.5, and we had a 5-minute response time. But you'll also see back in 2017, our incidents were 5,500. And you can see how this number somewhat creeps up. And of course, we just only have this 2020 is July 1 to date. What we've got here is a community comparison of all our communities here locally. And I won't bore you with this, but certainly you can go through it. And I want to just point out that this number down here, this 8,650, is the total incidents for Sylvania Township Fire Department, including the incidents for the county transport unit. So 6,380 of those occurred in Sylvania. The rest of those 2,000 were outside of the county by that transport unit, thereby reducing our staffing to 14 available personnel. Just to give you a little background, the National Fire Protection Agency for an average 2,000 square foot house on a structure fire requires 15 personnel on the scene. So that's another point for adding additional staff, that we would meet those national standards at least a bulk of the time.
So what would be the main message that you would give to our voters out here? This is a wonderful, I love this slide presentation, and they can get more at Keep Sylvania Safe. What is the main message? In order to have efficient response times, will you add more staff if this passes?
We will add more staff if this passes. Certainly, we're going to still see a continuation of an increase in calls. Initially, this was going to add staffing quicker with the previous ask, but it was reduced. So it's only going to get us half of what we were actually asking for. So we're hoping that the response times are going to decrease. Certainly our personnel safety and certainly the public safety is paramount here. By adding staff, if we do have out of service apparatus for whatever reason, if they're tied up on another incident, we have those resources available. Currently, because we are so short-staffed, we rely on an automatic aid agreement with Springfield Township and Richfield Township, and they send us a fire engine with 3 people each. So we're getting an additional 6 people, but as you well know, they're coming from Springfield, and Richfield is a volunteer department. So there's a delay in their response time to get to us.
Okay. So this is very, very important. And you have your, oh, I'm sorry, your goals here. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
so,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. What we're also going to consider when we add these additional staff is we will continue to cross staff a 3rd ambulance if there becomes a demonstrated need that the other 2 are occupied. We would be able to cross staff that unit for a very short period of time and transport that person to the hospital. Recruitment, retention, in the fire service and the police service right now, all of us are struggling to try and get good quality people. Unfortunately, it's a fault of the world we live in today. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so let's see here.
So additionally, we have 2 of our personnel, and unfortunately due to COVID, we weren't able to send the 3rd one this year for grant writing school. So we've got over $1 million since 2011 in grants that were awarded us, including our SCBAs that we were into, structure fires, excuse me, all new radios, in addition to a whole bunch of other things, some smaller items. But so we've saved the taxpayers essentially that $1 million in 2011, because those are items that we were going to have to buy one way or the other.
Awesome. So if you, let's see here, if you could, because we are running short on time.
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry, Skylar.
It's not even that. We're just trying. We want you to stick around though if there are more questions, but you've mentioned a lot of different things here. So what is your primary message to your voters? Get out and vote.
Get out and vote, and vote yes on issue 13.
Vote yes on issue 13. And if they want more information, they can go to keepsylvaniasafe.com, right?
Yes.
All right, and there are 2 slideshows there, this slideshow and then a more extensive one, and all the things that you need to know about the municipal fire department. Is it considered municipal fire department or township? Which
It's
one?
a township fire department.
Township fire department. Okay. All right. Thank you. Can you guys hang out though, in case we have more questions?
I
Okay.
can certainly stay. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to Mr. France. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. I like this. This appeals to me as like a policy person, so I hope it appeals to everybody else. If you're just joining us, my name is Skylar Meadows, and welcome to the Issues-Based Forum for Lucas County. This is sponsored by the Prince Hall Masonic family and the Ohio Unity Coalition and TR Consulting. We're talking about specifically the issues and concerns that matter most in the 2020 election, because let's face it, a lot of the light has been shined on what? The candidates. And that's nice. We need candidates, don't get me wrong, but the issues are what affect us when the rubber meets the road. So far, we've heard from a representative for issues 3 and 4, which is the city of Toledo's tax increase. And then we've heard from 2 lovely representatives talking about Sylvania Township fire levy, issue 13. So the message from everybody so far is get out and vote. Get out and vote for these issues. Listen to it, talk about it, but get out and vote. So Ms. Crosby had to leave, but the gentlemen from Sylvania are going to stick around, and we're going to move on to the next person. We're across platforms here, right? So we are on Facebook Live, and we are also on a Zoom call. And this is being recorded, so if you have not voted yet, early voting just started this week, but if you have not voted yet and you're still making up your mind, share this with your neighbors and friends. Tell them it's being recorded, and we will put this out on one of the social media platforms for you to review. So this is the first ever, so thank you for joining us and making history. All right, so we are going to next have, it's right in front of me, so I'll just pick it back. Miss Berry, would you like to go and talk about Lucas County Children's Services Levy?
I sure would. Thank you so much, Ms. Meadows. My name is Katrina Berry. I'm with Lucas County Children's Services. I have been employed with Lucas County Children's Services for 22 years. I am presently in the position of assessment caseworker supervisor. So I'm pretty much there to manage staff as they go on the first knock on the door when they're meeting with our families. So I am here to really try to convince people to vote for issue 18. It is so important. So let me just give you kind of some facts. We're seeking a renewal of existing 5-year, $1.8 million operating levy. This is not a new tax at all. Our current levy actually expires December of 2021. A renewed levy will be collected starting January of 2022, only after the current levy expires. So let me give you some statistics. In 2019, our agency received 12,249 reports of child abuse and neglect. 5,132 of those reports were actually screened in for our assessment and investigator caseworkers to go out to families. The agency provided services, believe this or not, to 13,654 children, and 147 of those children were reunified with their family. 84 children were adopted, and caseworkers made 23,000 visits to children and families. So in this day and age, we have came with a lot of challenges within our agency. Some of definitely would be the opioid epidemic. Domestic violence has been increased lately in our agency. Cost for care, the availability of services to multi-system youth has increased. We want to definitely hire qualified caseworkers, but we also have a lot of caseworkers that are starting to retire. We need good foster homes. And with the COVID-19 response, our impact of agency operations, our staff being safe, our families on caseloads, it's really been difficult for us. I would say with being with our agency, we have some wonderful caseworkers that do over and above for our families. What our goal is always, we want to empower our parents. You know, we always believe that the best for children is to be with their family, but we want to give them those tools so they can be their own parent to their children. And that's why we want to make sure that we have that qualified staff, that we have the different services in the community that we can refer our families to. We noticed that we are awesome with our fiscal responsibility. We make sure that the money that we're bringing in, that we're also giving those, the money that we're actually bringing in, that we're making sure that we have those services that we're providing for our families. We also are an agency that is recognized statewide and nationally as a leader in child protective services. At this time, when there are so many challenges unknown and child protection, we must be ready to respond to any challenge. And we want to be there for our community and be there for our parents. So I cannot stress enough the importance of supporting our issue 18. I think you're on mute, Skylar.
No, this would be just like any other meeting any day. It's told you it's very free flowing, everybody. Everything's very free flowing. Okay. If you have a question for the panelists, please type it in the chat. The moderators, I just typed this, the moderators will be able to assist and they will give the questions. So thank you for that. The one question has come up. Is this specifically for operations? Like, what is it geared toward? Or it's not a new tax, so what will it be put towards? It's just a renewal?
Yes, and I can give you information about that. Our levy dollars are used to pay for our caseworker services, our foster care per diems, any of our contracted services for our clients and other client supports, for our building fees, and also for any routine expenses. So it's not just for our staff, it's a variety of different things that we kind of cover with our levy money.
Okay. And do you get any combined or grant funds from other agencies? Because there's been talk that there's been mandated cuts throughout the state, any state level agencies that dispense monies to the county. So this would also be able to stand in the gap, so to speak, of those budget cuts. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right. All right. Can you stick around for us and then we'll, okay. All right.
I sure can. Thank you.
Right. So next we have Mr. Ray Wood, and he is representing, which levy are you representing, Ray? I'm sorry.
17.
Yep,
Metro
17.
Park.
There we go, Metro Parks. I'm scrolling at the same time that I'm introducing. So here we go. All right, so it's the Metro Parks of Toledo. It's a 10-year additional property tax for developing and maintaining and operating the park district, conservation, and acquisition of parkland. Go right ahead.
Skylar, thanks for putting this on. This is awesome. It's historic, and I think that everyone really do need to know as much as they can about issues. We hear from the candidates, but now it's time. So listen. Thanks. They had some drops in my eyes, so I'm a little blurry because I'm getting fit for glasses, but that doesn't stop my mouth. I can still run off at the mouth. But anyway, Metro Parks levy is it's a 10-year levy, and over 10 years it'll cost an average home or $100,000 homeowner $70 a year. Before I give you, I got a lot of stats and figures, but before I go into that, if I could take a moment to talk about my personal experiences with the parks in the Lucas County area. After we come out of, or we were allowed to come out of quarantine, the safe place to be was outdoors. So as I went to the Metro Parks, first of all, I saw God's great country, the greenery and the parks that are absolutely beautiful, but also saw a lot of diversity of families that had a chance to get out together and go for walks and bicycle in those parks. Now, what was important to me is the fact that in this challenging time, we were still able to go out, and I was able to go out and take a deep breath and get a lot of things off my mind and off my chest just by being able to go out to the park away from my home. In Lucas County, within 5 miles of every Lucas County resident, there'll be a park. This levy will help not only create, and I'll get to that in a second, a river park downtown, but it would help maintain the current parks that we have and continue to improve them. Our investment, our local investment, just say economists say about $210 million. We're going to be matched up to get this over $1 billion from outside sources as well. Um, the most important thing about this levy is that it helps create over 500 jobs, and that's what we do. When times get tough, you know, we try to make sure that there's hope for people that are losing jobs, that are being laid off. We need to know that there's a future and that we can create jobs. So this Metro Parks levy will create over 500 new jobs. In addition, if you haven't been downtown, I would encourage everyone to go downtown because it's already started. We wanted to continue, but down on the east side of the Maumee River, just take a look at the Metro Park, the river park that's being started there. They're going to connect the Middle Grounds Park, and for the record, I used to work at a place called Bostwick and Brown downtown. It was a hardware distribution center, and 8 stories. And I could look over to the Middle Grounds. The Middle Grounds then were dipped cars, a lot of other activity. But my God, the Middle Grounds Park now is a place that people can go to congregate and have picnics and social gatherings. But that new Metro Park that's right off of the other side of Front Street is going to connect Middle Grounds and the historic brand new River Park downtown. So you know, my encouragement is to please support the Metro Parks levy, issue 17. It's going to create over 500,000, not 500, 500 new jobs in a time when we're being impacted negatively by job loss. And plus, it's going to help beautify and continue to maintain the current parks that we have. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, but you would have to say them to me because I'm having a hard time reading because of the drops in my eyes, but I'm ready.
It's no worries. I'll say them to you. Thank you for that. Yeah, about the so the jobs. I have a couple questions just because. First, let me ID again. All right, if you're just tuning in to Facebook Live platform, or if you are just asking for entrance or entry into our Zoom call, my name is Skylar Meadows. And this forum is an issues-based forum for the issues and concerns that matter most in Lucas County for the 2020 general election. Election day is November 3rd. It's not November 2nd. It's not November 25th. It's November 3rd, and we are now in early voting phase. And so this forum has been put on by the Prince Hall Masonic family in coalition with the Ohio Unity Coalition and TR Consulting to make sure that we do know about the issues and concerns that matter. The best things about this are that we are all together on this in a time when it's stated that people are farther apart. This brought us right together. The issues matter. Job creation matters. Response times matter. Having roads where you can drive and not fall in a pothole matter. It all matters, but somehow it sometimes gets overlooked. So now we're together talking about the issues and concerns. So let's talk about the Metro Parks just for one moment.
Yes.
Do any of these funds or the 500 jobs, is it job training or it's just regular jobs? Like, can a 17-year-old get the job, or these are 500 solid, good paying jobs?
That's exactly what it is, Skyler. That's a good question. These are 500 solid, good paying jobs. It's OJT, it's on the job training, you know, and these are good paying jobs at a time when there's a lot of job loss and a lot of despair, and
Okay.
the 500 jobs.
And something else to remember, there's no charge. Help me understand this, there's never a charge for us unless you want to use like the shelter. But just for us to go as today as citizens over to the Middle Ground or the park out by Waterville that has the archery, it's no charge, right? Our taxes. But other than this levy, you and your family can go and enjoy our parks, any of them.
That's exactly right, Skylar. In fact, at the Middle Ground, they have canoeing, no charge. They have the archery. They have a lot of different things that are set up as activities, and there's never a charge, like you said, unless you're going to rent one of the shelters or something along those lines. But all the metro parks are available to every Lucas County resident, and free of charge, and everything that comes along with being at the metro park. That's a good point. Thank you so much.
And then I know I was helping, right? And there's a question that came up about that.
Yeah.
Are all of the parks' current levies continual? So is this a continual levy?
For the metro parks, absolutely it is. It's a 10-year. It's for 10 years a levy, and that is going to cover all the metro parks, all the parks within Lucas County, and that includes our city parks as well. What they're and we all know this. The parks need to be maintained because things happen, and they need to be to make sure that any broken bottles, glass, trash, and we want to maintain that to make them respectable for our citizens, to make them some place where you can take your family, feel comfortable, and feel safe. Yes.
So these are continual. Is a continual levy? Okay, yep. To make the parks safe and beautify, keep the beautification going. Correct. And then,
yes.
As far as the jobs, we had a follow up on that. Are the jobs mainly part-time positions, seasonal, all year round, or you may not be sure of what they are?
Well, right now we're looking at 500 permanent jobs. They're not seasonal. Well, I take that back. I'm not sure about winter months. I have to get some more information about that. But they're permanent jobs. They're not part-time jobs. They're 500 good paying jobs.
So what I'm doing is, you hear me typing. I'm typing this in the chat so that if someone's reading it, and then that way, and if we play it back. Okay, so their jobs are permanent, good paying jobs.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so to our fabulous production staff, are there any other levies that have joined us? Any other levy representatives that have joined us? While they're looking at that, let me talk a little bit about, and thank you to all of our guests, let me talk a little bit about the other levies that we have not heard from yet, and then we will go straight into a brief discussion and see if there are any final questions, and then have our executive director of the Lucas County Board of Elections talk to us. So the issues and concerns that we have that just popped off of my screen, that is not good. Okay, so I'll go through the issues that we have not represented, just so everybody is aware of them, just real quick, and then we can have Ms. Levere come on and talk. All right, so in our county, there happen to be a number of issues. Mr. Sedlock, greetings. Did you have anything that you wanted to share with us, sir?
Hi there. No, I've been on for a while now. I'm actually the local president for Sylvania Firefighters. I'm just on in support for the for issue 13 with Chief Nye and Mr. France.
Anything else you want to? You have the floor.
You know, I just echo just what Chief Nye had to say about the levy. You know, we're increasing call volume, and it's not slowing down. I'm actually a lieutenant with the fire department. I work at station number 4. And it is busy from sun up, sundown, and all through the night as well. There's been a couple of questions, concerns with our with replacement of vehicles that we have. I would just add that Sylvania is very fortunate in what we have out that way. We actually, Al Hassan, our mechanic that we have that works on our fire apparatus out there, is a nationally known fire mechanic. He actually was emergency vehicle technician of the nation. Just not more than 2 years ago, and that went up against Boston Fire Department, FDNY, big name fire departments that you know, we can be very proud of that. So like I said, when he says that, obviously when we talk about replacement schedule of vehicles and that, it is no joke. The brine, the stuff that we live in the Rust Belt. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So the frame rails, that kind of stuff underneath those vehicles get ate up pretty quick, and you know, just from general service calls that we go on day by day, you know, we put a beating on these trucks, so they're definitely needed, as well as the staffing. That's all I have to add.
Awesome, thank you so much for that. We don't want to leave anybody out. So Yeah, we don't want to leave anybody out. This is, I like this very much. I'm so appreciative that we could all come together for this. So let's just look at the other issues and then we'll see if there are any questions and then we can conclude. All right, so the first issue is, issue 1 was the City of Sylvania, a charter amendment. Issue 2, same thing, City of Sylvania, charter amendment. Issues 3 and 4 were represented here. The City of Toledo 3/4 income tax is issue 3, and issue 4 is the City of Toledo income tax, the 1/4%. The difference here is because it was all put on as one in March as a 1.25 and it failed in the primary, and so they're coming back and asking the administration now and the levy committee for us to take a look at that as 3/4% and 1/4% designated specifically for roads. Issue 5 is City of Waterville property tax, 3.25 mil tax. Issue 6 is from the Village of Holland. It's a charter amendment about residency requirements for their council members and the mayor. And then issue 7, Village of White House, property tax, 3.25 mils, continuance. Issue 8, Harding Township, 5-year property levy, 2 mil tax. It's for fire and emergency services, equipment and personnel. Issue 9, Jerusalem Township, property tax, 0.75 mil. That's a 5-year renewal. Issue 10, Jerusalem Township, property tax, it's 1 mil. It's a 5-year property tax renewal. And this one's for general construction, repair of roads and bridges. Issue 11 is Richfield Township. They were mentioned earlier by Sylvania Township folks because they have a volunteer fire department. In this instance, for issue 11, it's continuing their property tax of 3 mils for their fire and emergency services equipment and personnel. Issue 12, Sylvania Township property tax, 0.42 mils. That's a 5-year tax, and it's a renewal. And this one is directed at the general operations of a senior center. And, you know, they've had this issue before on the ballot. Issue 13, we heard from many representatives. Awesome. Sylvania Township, we heard from a retiree, we heard from the assistant chief, and we heard from a union person and a lieutenant. And they're talking about the continuing property tax for fire and emergency services, equipment and personnel. And then 14 is Waterville Township property tax. That's 3.25 mils. It is a continuing property tax. It would first be due in 2021. And so that one's for fire and emergency services and also equipment. So we have a lot of issues on the ballot. 15, Ottawa Hills local schools. That one's a bond issue. Now this one will be interesting, a 30-year bond. As you know, we had in Lucas County at another area a proposal of a 30-year bond. So we'll see how this one goes. This is for renovation and creation of school facilities for Ottawa Hills. Issue 16, Ottawa Hills, again, as property tax, 4.9 mils. It's a continuance. Issue 17, Metro Parks, we heard from Ray Wood on this. It's a 10-year additional property tax, as I mentioned before, and he told you all the great things, including job creation, keeps the Metro Parks free unless you want to have the shelter. You can use any of them. And also, of course, the beautification efforts and maintaining it, because it's not cheap and it's not free to have wonderful looking parks, down to the snow shoveled on the walkways, the grass mowed, garbage picked up, and all of those different things. So it's nice, and to have staff available. And then issue 18, Ms. Berry talked about this. It's the continuance. It's a 5-year renewal for support of operations of LCCS, which is Lucas County Children's Services. And she talked about everything from adoption to negotiating of the per diem contracts that they have to for the staff and foster care. And of course, all of the case management and services that they take on a daily and yearly basis, because not only do they cover the typical things that we think about with parenting and individuals that would like to report people, but there's also things that go overlooked, which are like abuse and neglect. Abuse and neglect are some of the top things that are reported, but we just never hear about it that often. So these are some of the things that the monies could be put toward for Lucas County Children's Services. And I think for everyone, not speaking for all the issues, but this has been a very challenging time, a challenging year, a challenging couple years. And so some of the supports that have previously been there are probably not in place or may be reduced. And so this is a really good time for us to talk to our neighbors and friends about any of these items or issues that resonate, to make sure when you go into the ballot box, pull the lever for the issues too. All right, do we have any other questions? That's my soapbox and I'm sticking to it. And yes, Mr. Nye, you said you have one key point that you didn't cover. Go right ahead.
I do have one key point that I didn't get to because it's a little bit further back in our presentation in this PowerPoint, but our 1.9 mil levy for $150,000 house is going to cost that homeowner taxable value, of course, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between taxable and resale value. $99.75 a year, $8.31 a month for all the stuff that we can do for the community. What a value.
So what's the difference, since you were explaining it, what's the difference? Please educate our audience about the taxable and other.
Well, a lot of people, when they tend to look at a levy and they say, well, it's going to cost me $100 for my $150,000 house, they think that that's what they're paying on what they can resell it for. But you can go to the Lucas County Auditor's site and do the levy estimator that's on the left-hand column there. It'll show you every existing levy that you're being taxed on. And it also has a link to the proposed levies that are currently on the ballot. And that's off of your taxable value, not your resale value. And if they use resale value, it's going to inflate that dollar amount of what they think they would pay on that tax. But you can get the raw dollars right on that website.
Thank you for that information, because that's important to note, because a lot of times the push is, oh, vote for this because the valuation is XYZ of your house, and that's not necessarily what they're basing it on. Or vote for this for those that are in a position to rent, because why do you care? Well, you care because if you rent and this goes through and the landlord can't afford it, they're going to pass it on to you. So I think that that's important to note, so that people have it straight, that it's not necessarily this pot, it's that pot, and that the services, if you need the services, you need the services. So everybody needs to look at this. You're not coming to people in a time when we're belt tightening. I don't think any of the levies are. So this is just me saying this from an editorial standpoint. It's nonpartisan, but that's why we're having this forum, so that people understand there is a need. We're not just sitting around like, oh, today we'll talk about issues. Not so much. We're having this so that people can present the issue. So thank you for that.
Yes.
To our very VIP moderators that have been moderating chat and Facebook, are there any questions that we have for anyone on the panel?
Skylar, I have not gotten questions, but I've gotten a lot of compliments. People are very appreciative of you being here with us today.
Yes.
I think you're answering their questions before they get a chance to ask them. But
sorry.
Appreciate you all being here. We have, like I said, we've gotten a lot of compliments about having this particular forum, because a lot of people don't understand the ballot issues when they go out, because they're not in layman's terms all the time. So with you giving further explanation and sharing all your information, it has been a huge help to those who are viewers today. So thank you all very much.
Yes,
Skylar,
absolutely.
I'm going to move on. I'm still waiting to see if I get some more questions. If I get some, I'll let you know.
Okay, absolutely. So what we'll do now is we wanted to open it up a little bit, which we just did. So if anybody across platform sees us, but also we want to hear from the Board of Elections, and there's a lot at stake in terms of voting. And this is the executive director's favorite subject all day, every day for most of her life since she's been involved. We have Ms. Lavere here, and she's going to talk to us. Would you mind, since we do have a little time, if we have a guided discussion? It won't be lengthy, but you and I can connect back and forth and help voters. And to our panelists, if you need to exit, we appreciate you so much. This is being recorded, so please let your constituencies know, and we will put it out on social media platform, and let everyone know that they can direct themselves to this. So don't. Are we?
Recorded on YouTube as well, so we do have some
my son.
YouTube. No questions from YouTube, but people are watching us from YouTube as well. So we're out there on YouTube, Facebook, and as well as on this particular Zoom. So thank you all again.
We're out here. That's not how the kids quite say it, but I'm not good with slang. But all right, we're across social media platforms. Now, I'm sorry, but TikTok, I'll have to leave you on that. Anybody, maybe the other panelists want to do TikTok, but I that's not my thing. Okay, so we want to have a brief guided discussion if we could. We're getting a lot of questions about voting in particular. So early voting, the Early Vote Center is at the corner of 13th and Monroe Street. That's 1301-1301 Monroe in the old Ohio Means Jobs building. That is for folks in Lucas County. If you live in other counties, how can people find out where their Early Vote Center is?
Every county has to have on their website where their Board of Elections offices are at and their Early Vote Center. We are actually the only county, well, there's one other county where their Early Vote Center is literally right next door. So basically anywhere else in the state of Ohio, all the other 88 counties, their Early Vote Center is connected to their actual Board of Elections offices. So those are not hard to find, okay, for the rest of the counties in Ohio. And as you stated, it's still at the same building, but people who have previously voted at Early Vote need to understand that now we're at the other end. We are now in the old Owens area due to COVID and to safe distancing and things of that nature. I did request a larger space. So we are actually, the entrance is facing Washington Street now. So if anybody is familiar with that building where they used to have the Owens classes at, that is where the Early Vote Center is at now. That space allows us to be able to accommodate more voters in at any time versus the area that we were located in the building previously.
Yes, and then I did notice that they had, because early vote, people were standing in line on early vote opening day, 3.5 hours, and you were getting them in, the staff, as fast and efficiently as possible, that you have plexiglass, social distancing, and all of those things so people can come and vote safely. What if someone, though, wants to request an absentee ballot? Can you share with us the methods by which they can request it and the deadline they need to request it by?
Yes, if someone has not yet requested an absentee ballot and they want to vote by mail, they will need to submit the actual absentee application. And as you know, Lucas County residents received several in the mail this year because many people received them from the Secretary of State's office, various parties, several different voter groups. The key thing is you only have to send in one, okay? We cannot control who sends you absentee applications. Actually, you cannot unsolicited absentee application. But if you have not submitted one yet, you can go to our website, you can print it out and send it in. Most license bureaus have them, which are deputy registrars, public libraries, and actuality, their Secretary of State is also placing them in Kroger's as well. So if you have not submitted one and you want to vote by mail, that is the venue. If you know that you want to vote in person at the Early Vote Center, I am reminding people not to submit an absentee ballot application. Because when you submit an absentee ballot by application, you're saying, I want to vote by mail. Okay, that is what you're stating on that form. If you know you're positive you want to go to early vote, do not submit the absentee application. If you have already submitted the absentee application and you decide you want to go vote in person, the directive says we are to ask that you return your ballot. But it also states that if the person is unable to provide that ballot, we will soil your first ballot in our system and issue you the second ballot. Legally, you cannot have 2 live ballots issued to your name. So if you come into the Early Vote Center and you say, I know you mailed my ballot, but I want to vote in person, we will cancel out your original transaction by mail, and we will do another transaction for you at that time to allow you to vote in person. Now, in Ohio, it says you have 3 chances to get it right. That's your second chance, okay? So people need to understand that. And then if you soil that ballot, for some reason you mess it up, you get another chance, get 3. If you soil that or mess it up, you don't get another chance. So the key thing is when you do have that ballot, make sure you're reading it properly. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence in casting your ballot properly. So that covers the fact of casting your ballot in person. If you know that you're a person that you definitely want to vote at your polling location on election day. Do not go to the early vote center and do not mail in your absentee application. The key thing to remember is on election day, the early vote or absentee cycle has ended. So if you go to your polling location on election day and you have requested an absentee ballot, you will be mandated to vote provisionally, because you cannot have 2 live ballots, and the absentee window has ended. Okay, so you're in a totally different cycle. Early voting, absentee voting is one portion of the cycle. Election day is a totally different laws, governed under totally different laws in the statute. So that's why when people go in and say, well, I want to vote on the machine because I didn't, return my ballot. You can't. You're going to have to vote provisionally.
So when is the last day?
When they're going to cast their ballot. It is up to you how you want to cast it. Ohio has some of the most liberal laws just in reference to the amount of time that people are allowed to cast their ballot. Some states have 1 week of early voting, some have 2. There are so many states that still require you to have a reason to vote by absentee, which boggles my mind. You have to be 65 years or older, or say you're out of state, or things of that nature. And as you see, one of the states, South Carolina, just stated that you still have to have a witness to return your absentee ballot.
Wow.
And in the time of COVID, how many people are going to go out and find witnesses? So we have great opportunities right now in Ohio to be able to vote. And I tell people this all the time, I can't think of too many excuses for you not to be able to go cast your ballot.
So when is the last day for a person that wants to apply for an absentee ballot by mail to mail that request in?
The last day by law is October 31st, but it's too late. I'm being very realistic. The last day legally is the Saturday before the election. But will your application get mailed to us and you receive your ballot by election day? It's highly unlikely. That is one of the things that was proposed to the state to change. It did not hit the floor, was not voted on, but we have to be realistic. So I will tell you the legal date, but I will also tell you, don't wait to that day.
Right. We have a question here. So my name is Skylar Meadows. I'm a political analyst, a media professional, and a member of the Prince Hall Masonic family. And I'm very pleased to be here today with an esteemed panel of individuals who are talking about, and also citizens, about the issues and concerns that matter for most at our Issues Forum. So right now we're talking to, I call her Miss Lavera, from the Lucas County Board of Elections, because we really need to nail this voting down as to how it is and the procedures, and everyone can benefit from that, because we just had everybody talking about the issues. So if you can't get out there to vote properly, you won't be voting for the issues, concerns, candidates, nothing. So that's why we're doing this. We have a question from the floor. It says, when are the voting ballots going to be mailed out for those who are voting absentee? Now, haven't they already been mailed out?
They started being mailed out. Needless to say, I wish I had a magic wand and you could get it the day you mailed it, but it doesn't happen like that. Legally, the first day to mail them was just the 6th. A lot of people, I can't count the number of emails I received saying, I mailed in my absentee ballot application a month ago. You could have mailed it in 7 months ago. By law, the first day to mail absentee ballots was the same day early voting began. And that was the first day that they began to get mailed out. We have over close to 65,000 already entered, and over 62 have already been mailed out. You can go to our website and check it for yourself. You can go to lucascountyohiovotes.gov. You go to the public information site. There is a site you can say, look up my absentee. You can see for yourself when your absentee was processed, and you can see when it's mailed. So it's right at your fingertips to look it up.
Thank you. And how about the drop box? That'll be probably.
There is currently, as you know, there was several lawsuits filed about that, not against us directly, but against the state. The interpretation was that you could have one initially. Secretary of State issued an additional directive saying you can have more than one drop box at your facility. So I can put 5 of them out here in front of Government Center. That doesn't really address the concerns that many of the people who filed the lawsuits had, which was more drop boxes throughout the county. So as it states right now, our board voted to put in a second drop box because, as I stated, we are the only other board of elections that is not connected to our early vote center, and we actually operate out of 2 locations. So because our early vote center is at another location, and because our board actually has all of their meetings at that same building, our board did vote to put in a second drop box at the early vote center site. And actually, I have the contractors are out there today putting the cameras that would need to be in out there. There's some fixtures that need to be added to that site as well, and then some lighting. So it will be there. We have to give public notice of when it's in. And so there will be a media release issued, and it'll also be on our website and everything of when it is actually installed. We're actually able to get it moving a lot faster than anticipated. The vendors that I reached out to and the county facilities department has been awesome in offering the support. When I called and said we could do it, they literally started showing up yesterday to get some of the things they needed to get it started. So I am very thankful for that.
So just to recap, yes, you still have an opportunity to request an absentee ballot. You need to go to the website and you can print it. If you have no access to print it, they give you directions on what you need to write down on a piece of paper. It has to be on that piece of paper though. You can put it on there. You can use the ones that have been mailed to you by various parties or the Secretary of State, but please only turn in one. You're only turning in one. The second recap is, yes, you can come to early vote. You just need to be prepared to stand in line. Your vote will count, but keep in mind that it is moved down from 1301, that corner, down to the Owens building for safety purposes. They have plexiglass and physical distancing, etc. So everybody just be prepared to be patient. The staff is ready and willing to help you. They're highly trained. The third thing is, yes, we will have the opportunity to have the 2 drop boxes. The one is being constructed now, and there will be a media release per legal standards as to when you can start using that. And there's one in front of Government Center. And then the fourth thing is the voting ballots are mailed out. 62,000 have been mailed out. Of the 65,000, there's an opportunity to track those online if you go to the Lucas County website, and you can track it. Okay, so the last couple of things here are, dun, 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 dun. What do you want voters to know? What do you want voters to know?
I think the main thing is voters need to understand that with this election, it is very unlike the primary election. As you know, everything was done by mail. In this election, they still have all the same options they normally would have, whether they choose to vote by mail, whether they choose to vote in person at the polling locations on election day, or whether they choose to vote at the early vote center. So all 3 avenues are available to the voters. We did do some consolidation of polling locations, and those choices were made with safety in mind. A lot of the polling locations we moved into are much larger facilities where we can have social distancing for the voters. Not everybody was happy with the polling location moves, but I stand behind the fact that I'd rather make a couple of people irritated and keep a lot of people safe. So we moved into a lot of the schools. And again, I think the school system, but especially Toledo Public School System, Savannah, we've had some really good cooperation from some of the school systems in allowing us to use their larger gymnasiums and everything of that nature. The libraries, I want to thank them as well. The libraries that we will be voting in, they will actually be close to the public for voting on those days, so we can use the larger areas. So, I mean, it has really been a great experience with the agencies that have been reaching out to offer support, to offer assistance where it's needed. And as I've stated before, we're stronger together than we are apart. And that truly, truly has been showcased in Lucas County. And so I am very, very thankful for that.
And people should be wearing masks, right? Because that's a public place.
Yes.
Okay.
There is signage up. There will be signage up at every polling location, the same signage that is currently up at the early vote center in reference to people wearing a mask, in reference to you being social distance. And then it also states something about if you feel ill or have some of these symptoms, basically it says maybe you shouldn't be here. But the state did prescribe the actual posters that will be posted at every polling location throughout the state of Ohio.
Okay, so our last question here is, do you need more poll workers?
I also have been very pleasantly surprised. I have a lot of people who have signed up to be poll workers. We've trained almost 1,000 people, which is awesome. We still have training over the next 3 days. But I do not tell people not to sign up, still call, because there will inevitably be people who will not be able to work. But more importantly as well, I do need additional workers, people that can work in the tabulation center on election night. I need people that can work at the substations on election night. I still need a couple of additional early vote center workers. I need people that can work at the warehouse to help with the loading and the unloading of machines. All of those jobs start at like $12 an hour, depending on what they're doing, up to the substations up to like $17 an hour. So if people say I can't work the polls all day, I stress to you that I probably have a job that you can work. So please contact our office. We will, as I stated, we're still recruiting for all of those different positions, and we're setting up the training for like the rovers, some of the other people, substation workers, as I stated, warehouse. We're continually needing people to help be a part of the process.
That's area code 419-213-4001, the Lucas County Board of Elections, the 3rd floor of One Government Center. I just know that, like, totally. I'm so proud I know that too. But yeah, so there is an opportunity. We have one more question. When will the votes from those who vote during, oh, 2 more. Okay, let's do this. We'll flip the questions. All right, so are felons able to vote?
In the state of Ohio, felons can if you had a felony conviction in Ohio, you can re-register once, as the law says, you have served your time, and which you can't do in every state. So as long as you re-register after you have served your time, you can vote in Ohio.
Was our state involved in the mashup about whether or not you've made full restitution, or you just register if you've completed your time from prison?
Our state has, right, that is still currently what it states is that we have to take once we have because we get reports from the various agencies that'll state when this person was incarcerated, their time served. Once we get those things in reference to their time served, they're eligible to re-register. We do not get a lot of the back information that some states do. So it really depends on what the state requires to be reported to the various agencies. And currently in Ohio, it is not.
So have they automatically been reinstated, because we're past the registration deadline? But
if they re-registered, yes. If they that's the key thing. If they re-register.
Okay. So, but this information is good going forward. So we still need to let people know. So just
exactly.
Okay. And then the last thing is, when are the votes from those who vote during early vote counted?
And I know people are tired of me saying by law, but everything I do, I have to do by that. Absentee, that is an absentee vote. All absentee votes are tabulated on election day. So every one of those machines that those votes are cast in, they are tabulated on election day. We have to, just like they have to do in a polling location, you have to basically end the election. So we cannot end the election on any machine, because it will, first of all, but the elections cannot be ended until election day. Now, absentees are the first ones that are uploaded. So on election day, the first ones we will upload will be everything that comes from the early voting area and everything that comes in via mail in reference to absentee. So all absentee votes are tabulated first, and then the ones from the polling locations are tabulated.
Did that answer the question?
That answered that question.
Awesome.
So don't believe the hype. Let me say this: when people say, we know this person is 80 points ahead, or we know this person is winning in the polls, those are voluntary polls that people are doing. That is not actual votes cast, okay? Because nobody gets that information until election day. I don't get that information. Nobody does until election day.
There's not exit. Do they still do poll striking, but there's not exit polling, right?
We do not do it, but there are some agencies that do. There are some agencies, There's a couple of informational agencies nationally. I've already received paperwork from a lot of them telling me that they will be in our county, what polling locations they'll be in, and that they'll be doing exit polling. So yes, there are definitely informative and news agencies that will be doing exit polling on election day.
All right, everybody. So we started at 5:30. We promised we would be very prompt. It's probably dinner time somewhere around the world. We've been across platforms today, and that includes YouTube, I've been told. So everybody, it's YouTube, Facebook Live, and Zoom. So everybody give yourselves a hand. I'm looking for the hand in the chat. We just made history here. We don't believe that in the history of our city or our county, we've had this type of issues only forum. So you are to be commended. The levy issues that were represented today, 3 and 4, 13, 18, 17. Look, I just keep going on and on. There are actually 18 issues though. This is being recorded, and so it will be rebroadcast so that you can tell your friends and neighbors and everybody and get good information from the individuals who are promoting the levies. They have the solid information. Don't just sit on your porch and debate 6 or 10 feet away with your neighbor about how that pothole is going to be paid for. Don't sit and debate about what the response time is in Sylvania Township. You can get the information you need, but most of all, we need you to vote. It's your right, it's your voice, it's your vote. So with that, do you have anything that you would like to add, Miss Anita Madison from the Ohio Unity Coalition?
Take yourself off mute.
I can only echo what you just said. Get out and vote. Go vote.
Okay. Mr. Nye, Mr. Sedlock, Mr. France, thank you so much from Sylvania Township. Ms. Berry from Lucas County Children's Services levy, thank you. Mr. Wood talking about the Metro Parks levy. And of course, none other than Ms. Lavera Scott, the fearless leader and executive director of the Lucas County Board of Elections. And who is your deputy director now?
Timothy Monaco.
Yes, Mr. Monaco.
And we had over 1,000 voters again today, Lucas County. So people are showing up, and I just want to throw that out there. People are showing up.
I think it's fantastic. Everybody, thank you so much. And of course, to the grand convener of all of this, Miss Tanya Roach. This has been amazing. You guys, let's give her a hand clap. This is just so amazing. Yes. So when will we have the re-recording so that before people sign off, they know when we can expect to see her again?
Let me get myself out of here.
I'm sorry, I'm making you have feedback.
Our recording. Hopefully we'll be able to have something finished by tonight so that we can go ahead and put it out there for everyone. I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, Mr. Nye, Mr. Sedlick, Mr. France. Thank you so much from Sylvania Township. Katrina Berry, thank you from Lucas County Children's Services. And I want to thank those that had to leave. Katie Crosby, as well as Mr. Ray Wood from the park system. Katie Crosby is from the city of Toledo. And I also have to thank Bishop Dwayne C. Tisdale for allowing us to use the church and the Zoom from the church and the recording, because I wouldn't be able to do this by myself. I want to thank Elder Reggie here, who has been our technical person. He has been great in being patient with both myself and Anita. So we thank you both. I want to thank the committee from the Ohio Unity Coalition and also from the Toledo Prince Hall Masonic family. You all have been great. You have done great things this summer, getting people registered to vote, giving out voter information, also getting people their absentee ballot applications. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. You all have been wonderful. Ms. Lavera Scott, she doesn't get to hear that often from me because she is my auntie. But hi, Ms. Lavera Scott. Thank you for being here with us. And I didn't even have to pressure her to be here. She was more than willing to be here, so I appreciate her as well. Skylar, you are amazing, and I thank you for accepting this position as our moderator. It has been a wonderful, wonderful job from you, and we do appreciate you. Thank you so very much.
My privilege and honor and my duty.
Oh, it's already uploaded to Friendship Baptist Church's YouTube page. So I will be putting that out on my page. I'll send it to everyone so that you all can share it with others. Mr. Nye, I did get a message from someone that said yes on 13. So
All right.
So
Every
it's
vote
out
counts.
there. They
See,
typed
it's
it in,
working.
said yes
Working,
to
yeah.
13. So I'm hoping that everyone did get to see that from Sylvania Township. So you can vote yes on 13. But
All
Great.
right.
thank you again.
Thank you.
Skylar, it is all back to you. The floor is yours. You can close us out.
Okay. We appreciate everyone. Thank you, Elder Reggie. I didn't know he was sitting over there. I was wondering why you kept looking over. And then, and of course, the friendship, because without friendship, we would not be able to have this. And thank you, Bishop Tisdale, of course, and everyone. So I think it's fantastic. I think we made some new friends over in Sylvania Township. I think that we really want to do this again. So maybe we think about how we can do this again for either the next primary election or the next general election, or we keep this going. Thank you for clapping it up. Yes, because we've made the history now. So all it is we just need to keep going forward. So to everyone across platforms, to all our friends on Facebook Live, thank you so much for tuning in. To all of our friends on YouTube, thank you so much. And to everybody on the Zoom call, thank you so much. And so with that, we can dismiss. Is that correct, Ms. Tanya?
We can dismiss. I thank you again. Everyone have a
All
good
right.
night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Happy
night.
To all the
voting.
viewers as
Good
well,
night,
thank you for
ladies.
being here. Thank you.
Happy voting.
Bye.
Thank you.